Have you ever wondered what's the best place to sell items in Starfield? Are you somebody who's got gigantic cargo bases and is doing some massive XP farming there, making thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of adaptive frames or magnets or pressure tanks or amps? And you're constantly going, God, I've got so many of these, but the vendor credits always run out. And so I've got to sleep for a bit, reset those credits, and then do it all over again. And gone, is this the fastest way to do it? Well, we ran through what we believe to be the fastest ways to sell and ran some actual human timers, meaning how long it took us to cycle through that selling situation, no matter how many vendors or how many hours we had to sit and wait for, and see how long it took us in real time, meaning our human time, to finish those sales and compare them. We will find which one is the fastest, but I will say each of these does have some unique advantages within them that the others don't. We'll cover these advantages under each separate section. So let's jump in and see exactly how long it took for each one, and are these definitely the best spots to sell? Let me know in your comments below. If you're unaware, a way to make a ton of items is have a giant outpost with the proper resources within it. And you just sit at a workbench and make thousands and thousands of these things. And then you need a place to go sell them. I'm not going to try to showcase that in this video. There's a bunch of videos out there for it. Maybe I'll make one at some point one day. But in this video, you can see the B-roll behind me. You can see the outpost I've got. You can see me making these items. That is one way people get massive amounts of things that they need to be able to sell quickly. This can still apply to somebody who's just doing a bunch of missions and have a bunch of guns and helmets or packs or suits that they want to sell as well. At my particular outpost, I can make adaptive frames, ISO-centered magnets, and mag pressure tanks to sell. I mean, obviously I can make other things, but those are the three items that my specific outpost generates materials for that I can constantly make. I can also sleep at almost a 1 to 60 hour ratio, so it's awesome. And it gives me the ability to get gigantic masses of like 100,000, 200,000. So it's important for me to have a big cargo ship and have a spot that I can sell these things quickly. And for the purpose of keeping a baseline for the timers in this video, we'll be selling 30,000 adaptive frames at each location. That way we know we're selling the exact same thing and the exact same amount of those at every single location. It won't be perfect each time, but it'll get us within the margin of error. Spot that you can sell that's pretty optimal. I always like to center at Alpha Centauri. If you go off to the right and down just a little bit, you're gonna go to Valley, which is where Neon is. In Neon, there is a whole bunch of vendors. So we're gonna see, is this gonna be the top spot to sell? Most importantly, related to how much time it takes you to do it, not just the in-game ratios and how much credits they have. Now, those matter, but it's all about how much time it'll take you to sell. Again, 30,000 adaptive frames. Once landed, you'll be facing the elevator. We've got a giant corridor of shops, a big long rectangle with towers on each end. In the next two sections on Neon, I wanted to show people all the potential shop type locations in case they didn't know, including a fun chance to get contraband in one of those locations. So if you're unaware of that, definitely check it out. And then in the second part of that, I wanted to show or recap just the resource selling locations. I was doing this so people would know exactly what shops and what locations are there, because in Neon, in that center corridor, there's a lot of stuff, and I wanted to recap it so they would again then remember the specific location, so they wouldn't necessarily have to keep recapping and coming back to the video. So if you've already know all that stuff, you can go ahead and skip over to just get to the timed section run for Neon. I'll show you first which places that you're going to want to sell and how many credits you can get at each spot. But we're going to start off to the left. My first run here, I'm just going to show you what's here in case you don't know. If you already know this, you can skip to the next part where I'm going to show you the only places we're going to be able to sell resources, because not everything can buy resources, meaning you can't sell to them. You might be able to buy or sell weapons, but not everything can be sold resources to. All right, so let's walk through these. First spot, Reliant Medical. You have no interaction at all. Valley Hotel, no interaction, but it is the landmark to come to this hallway to the right if you want to take some extra time to go to Ebbside. There's one store that we're going to want to hit when we come down here. Come straight, don't go first left. Take second left to Frankie's Grab and Go. Come in here, good old Frankie, and she'll sell. You got 1,500 that you could get from her and whatever resources you want to sell. You head back up after that. right back up here where it says Bayou Plaza. Come out. Let's go back to the right. Nothing enhance. The next spot is interesting. It's Neon Security HQ. We're going to actually go in here. While there's no place to sell, I do want to point something out. If you come back over to this corner, there's a contraband cache. There's also another spot that's stolen items. What I've found, and I've done a couple times here, is I've taken this contraband. You've got to be careful with it though. We'll cover that in a little bit. It doesn't reset each time. All right, next up, we've got the end of the line here. We've got the trade tower, which has a whole bunch of stuff in it. We're not going to go to each one of those. Technically, there's one spot that can buy and sell, but it cannot be sold resources to. So come in, come to the right, come to this elevator, turn around, choose the floor, go to core kinetics. If for some reason you've got weapons you want to sell, ammo you want to buy while you're doing this, you can come to this guy. There's all sorts of stuff you can buy. We don't really care because we're trying to sell, but all we can sell here, weapons, ammo, etc. It looks like it's about 12.5, but honestly, I'm trying to sell resources. All right, we're going to come out of the trade tower. Go off to the right here. Gal Bank, nothing to do there unless you want to try to steal from the ATMs. Terra Brew Coffee, nothing to do there. We've got another way to get to Ebside. We're not going back down. Next spot is the Emporium. This is a general weird goods selling place, but you can sell resources to this guy. Specifically 3,500 worth. Not sure there's going to be much you want to buy here, but in case you want decorations or something for your outposts, you can certainly do that. All right, we're going to continue to the right here. Next spot, Shroud Ekeland. Not doing anything there. Next spot, Seigart's Outfitters. We're going to come in here. This guy here, Dietrich, you can sell resources to. 5K worth. All right, come back out. Go to the right some more. Next spot, we've got Trade Authority. You know you're going to want to come in here. Remember that contraband I talked to you about earlier? You're going to sell that here. This guy's got 11K worth of credits. Next up, we've got Neon Tactical, but again, this one is only going to sell you weapons, which means that's all we can sell back to them. Nothing we can really do here with our resources. All right, then we come out, go to the right again. Next stop is a Rejun Apartments, nothing there. Actually, not next stop. This liquor store, yeah, there's food and stuff, but it's the same as those weapon spots. We're not even going to waste our time going in. So now we're at the end of the line, Rejun Tower. When you come in here, go off to the left. There's a small little like tranquility spot. Oddly enough, you can sell resources here. It's only 1,500, but it's something. Across from her, there's another store. It just sells apparel. You're not going to waste your time in here. So head out of the tower here. We're going to finish this right side. Newell's Goods. Yes, we're going to come here. Talk to this guy here, and he's going to have 5K. And then as you come out, there's one last stop. It's not the Freestar Rangers. It's going to be this mining league. And find this guy right here. And he's also going to have 5K. But again, just the spots that we want to focus on this round. You'll start right here. Down to Ebside, not the first left. The second left. Frankie's Grab and Go. 1,500 credits. Check in Neon Security HQ. 2 full rests, nothing there. You don't want to go right. There's nothing over there, so we can just go left. Cross over. Head straight to the Emporium. 3,500 credits. Come out. Seigart's Outfitters. 5K. Then, right after that, Trade Authority, where whenever we get the contraband, we'll obviously sell to this guy. He'll have 11K. Then we're going to want to go all the way to the end. If we want to get 1,500 extra, if you want to just skip that 1,500, just hit up Newell's Goods. We'll hit that on the way back. Come talk to her. 1,500 credits. Come out, hit the right side. Newell's Goods, 5K. Come out and finish up at the Mining League. Find our guy here. And the last bit we'll be selling here is another 5K. So that's 32,500 credits. Now the question is, given how much we've got to run here, what's our time going to be? So we're going to pick up our items and go sell those 30,000 adaptive frames. I'll put the timer on the screen. Timer on the screen, you can see the 30,000 adaptive frames. We're not going to sell the pressure tanks, just the adaptive frames. Start her up. To optimize time, I would just sit in here and wait and then do the reverse loop that you just did. Now here you can see that one local hour is a little bit more, so every 24 is 35. We're going to want to get 13 more universal time hours after this, which means we need 9 more hours. So let's get those in. So it's about a 7-minute, 10-second cycle. I've done this a little bit. We'll see how it shakes out. Since the elevator's right here, we're just going to relapse this cycle because we want to make sure to check the Neon Security Headquarters for that contraband each go. And if we get it, potentially sell it at the Trade Authority. So we're going to keep with that same route. Not much of a difference. Third full sleep, still no contraband. Could shave some time. Four full universal time, 48-hour sits, and still nothing in the contraband cache. All right, so 19 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll have to see how this one stacks up. No 7. So I've come back to this 7 times, waiting for 48 universal hours. It has not refreshed. So what I will say for this is, if for some reason you decide that this is your hotspot, know that you need to check this every so often or every time you at least come back. I've already done it a couple times from this cache, but I did go off world and then came back. One option for selling is in Venus, which is in the Sol system. If you're on Earth, you probably already know that that's in this area, and you know that it's in this particular solar system. So we want to go to Venus. For the Venus selling to work over and over and over again, you need to find a proper civilian outpost. I originally was going to include my process in doing this so people would understand how hard it is, but it was a little bit longer than what I wanted it to be for this particular video. And this video is more about which is the fastest selling vendor, but you can see in the background me doing this process, and I'll make a separate video that's just about Venus, because I do believe that some people are going to want to have Venus as a potential selling location. All right, what do we got here? This looks like a trader. See, so it's got 5,000 credits. Sit down, you wait for 1 hour. That's it. You can see the one local hour is 100 hours of universal time, which in other areas where you're trying to sell, you have to wait for 48 hours. And most of those are a 1-to-1 ratio. That's why Venus is attractive, because it's a 1-to-100. So we can do a rinse and repeat sell to this vendor by just continuing to sit on that chair for 1 hour, popping back up, coming over to her, reselling, running back to the chair, sit for an hour, so on and so forth. Now, the real question is, now that's great in game, but when you do massive outpost manufacturing, etc., where you've got 100,000, 200,000 mass on you and you want to sell as much as humanly possible, how much time does it take in real human time? I mean, your time to come up here and do that process back and forth while sitting for an hour and selling at 5K a pop. Now, you certainly can increase this 5,000 by buying ammo. Say you're something on here, you know what, I actually know that I really like these, so I can certainly buy these every time she pops up. I'm like, all right, so that increases a bit. So now the vendor credits go up to 10K based on whatever I buy. Maybe she's got some resources I like. You know, you can track things that you might be looking for, whatever. Is there any rare stuff in there? Is there any like ultra, like I like to look for things like this. Oh, maybe I buy those. Sometimes you get the, here we go, the unique ones. Maybe I buy those every time. So vendors like this, you want to find them, and then that way it helps you sell things and offload them a lot quicker. But again, it's your human time. How long does it take you to do that to get rid of all your stuff? So as far as not stressing about storylines and like if you're in a certain faction, etc., this is likely one of your fastest ways to sell things. But let's do an actual test to see if it is the all-time fastest way. And we'll drop these other ones as much as we can into our turtle so that we have less concern about having so much mass on us. And as you can tell, I can't even put everything in my 64,000, well, now 77,000 cargo ship. All right, so we're gonna start the timer from just inside the door. So let's get that up on screen. All right, so we've got the timer in the lower right-hand corner. We're gonna start it and get going. Oh, it's a new person. That's interesting. It appears to be about a minute per cycle, which isn't too bad. All right, wrapping up Venus here. We got to sell 12 more of these things. Go there and go up to 12. All right, so our counter stops at 13 minutes and 13 seconds. That's pretty good. We made what, about 100K credits out of that? We sold a couple other things, but still pretty solid turn. In the competition, we've got the Crimson Fleet, which is in Crix. Specifically at the key. I don't want to do any spoilers here, but if you go through the Crimson Fleet storyline, you're able to access this. I'm going to leave it at that, but I am going to show you the vendors here. I don't think that's a spoiler. I'm going to show you what it is, and then we will go through the actual time. So if you have access to the key, we're going to all go ahead and dock. And when you get here, you come through, take a quick left, go down this long hallway. You open up this door. Gets into the cargo bay. Once in here, you just want to keep to the right. So just go right here to the right. As we enter this area here, there are a number of vendors. So off to the right, we've got this Terran dude. He sells for about 5K. Then you turn to the left. We've got one over here. This is an ammo seller, weapons, etc. There's a lot of good stuff to buy here whenever you're in that mode. She sells for 4,500 credits. Terran, by the way, doesn't really sell much of anything. Isra is quite the peach. She sells for 3,500 credits and has a lot of decent resources you can check. I like to do rarity here. I wish I could get it to stay. I personally can't. I have to click it a lot. It's annoying, but that way you can look at the rarity. Come around the corner to my girl Zuri. She's one of my favorites here, mainly because she sells for 12.5 and her resources. These are always unique. She also typically sells these Aldamite drilling rigs, or maybe not typically, but she can, as well as Isra. So you can get these, which help you make your industrial extractors. And then the last, not to be forgotten, is just behind her over here, which there's a trade authority, Radley Jaso. And I think he's got 12.5, if I remember correctly. It's about 12,000. So those are a good chunk of vendors all in one spot. All right, so we'll start our stopwatch now, and let's get going. All right, we'll do this as fast as we can. Again, 30,000 adaptive frames. And again, selling these would be a lot faster if I was buying something, but I'm just trying to show pure timer on selling to these vendors in this spot and sitting and waiting. Then we've got to find a spot to sit. There's a couch right here in the trade authority, so we can just sit. And we've got to wait for 48 hours. This is the longest portion of this. All right, now we just rinse and repeat. All right, let's sit again. We're making really good time right now. All right, so we are done at 10 minutes, 20 seconds. That is going to be real hard to beat. So there you have it. We did the time runs. We had Venus with 5,000 credits, Neon with 32,500 credits, and the Key with 36,500 credits. Now, obviously, the time to sit, sleep, wait, the ratios are all different for those. That's why I really wanted to run this cycle. The cycle time for Venus was about a minute. The cycle time for Neon was about 7 minutes and 10 seconds. And the cycle time for the Key was about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Total time for Venus was 13 minutes, 13 seconds. The total time for Neon was 19 minutes and 30 seconds. And the total time for the Key was 10 minutes and 20 seconds. So to me, as far as the fastest, it's the Key. Now, as mentioned, each one of these has a little bit of an advantage, maybe over some of the other ones. While the Key is the fastest, it does require that storyline. Neon, well, you got that contraband we talked about. It also doesn't require any storylines. You just got to go there. Venus doesn't require anything. You just got to go there, but it does require that outpost we talked about. So if you don't want to be a Crimson Pirate, I definitely look at Venus. If you don't want to make an outpost, well, you could go to Neon, but it is slower. Best bang for the buck to me is obviously the Key. You just got to be okay with being a pirate. So that's all we got. Do you know of another location that might even compete with these? If so, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to run a timer on it. Anything I found or looked up or researched did not seem to be as fast as these. So that's why I put these 3 in the video. If you want to see more videos like this, or the Venus one, or potentially some outpost stuff in the future, consider liking and subscribing. We've got other videos below, including that build guide for the 64,000 cargo ship, linked below. Check it out. Appreciate you making it this far, and until next time, we hope you have a wonderful day.